Welcome, everybody, and I'm going to call the February meeting of the Town of Philipstown Conservation Board to order. First order of business is, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Okay, so we have, let's go through the correspondence very quickly. The correspondence that we have is Pierce from Rockwald Road. I think you knew last month that they were withdrawing their application. They've now asked for their escrow account back, so that goes to the town board. The other correspondence we have is from Stepping Stones Daycare Center, which is a referral from the planning board, which I have a feeling you and I will look at. I don't think it's much more than that. It's essentially an expansion of the daycare center, but it lies within the Clove Creek Aquifer. And then lastly, we have correspondence, which is also new business, which we'll do both at the same time, which is, am I going to pronounce this right? Kozlowski and Effle?
Kozlowski and Effle.
Okay, Kozlowski and Effle. Very good. On 168th South Mountain Pass in Garrison. And this is a referral from the planning board. Mm-hmm.
All right, hi everyone. Linda and Mike. Hi Jason. Hi neighbor. So we bought the property at 168 South Mountain Pass in 2019, the beginning of 2019. And we basically want to make it our permanent home. So, so we are looking to expand it so that we can have family come stay. We don't have kids, but we have lots of extended family that we want to be able to come visit us on a regular basis. It's a Frank Dushan property that that was built in 1968, and we want to try to respect a lot of the architecture of the original property and expand in a way that we can make it our permanent home, but have it not be too interfering with the environment. So we've come up with an architectural plan that would sit lightly on the ground, but also color-wise and everything else just retreat into nature. So that is our proposal and our plan, and we have elevations of the property, but also Jason can discuss a little bit about what we're trying to do when it comes to the actual buildings and the presence. Just so you know who's here today, obviously you probably know Jason pretty well, but also then
Lindsay Cruz,
yeah.
architect.
Yeah, so we have our architect here as well, so. With that, I'll turn it over.
So just a word, Jason Snyder with Beatty and Watson, representing the applicants today. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So just a word about this is the existing conditions map. This is about a 10.5 acre parcel. The green, the shaded green is town regulated wetlands that Steve Marino has flagged. I think it was flagged last year. A lot of the flags might still be there. I don't know if Max went out there, but yeah. So the green is the wetlands that Steve Marino flagged. There's a brook running through the middle of the property that's in blue, and then the yellow, shaded yellow, are the 20% slopes, and the orange are the 25 to 30% slopes. The existing residence sits at the middle of the property, on the edge of the brook. We have the well sits uphill a little bit, and then the septic system is down in this area here. We do have a We have submitted to the health department. This is an existing 3-bedroom residence, and we have a proposed 5-bedroom total. We're proposing a brand-new system for the entire, brand-new current code system outside of the buffer for the entire residence, existing and proposed. So that's at the health department, and it's just, it's basically approved pending approval from the conservation board. Because we do have, there are components of the septic tank and some of the sewer lines, and obviously the additions themselves are in the buffer, so they're holding off on their approval until we get somewhere with the conservation board. So that's where we're at with that. So yeah, those are the wetlands and the regulated areas. I can show you exactly where the ground disturbance is in the buffer itself. So this is another existing conditions map, kind of blown. Oh. So this is another existing. So this is the same existing conditions map, just kind of blown up a little bit. There's a lot going on with the structures that are on the ground versus the elevated structures that are over the existing grade that we're not necessarily touching the ground. So I tried to illustrate that with, so that the new foundations that are going to be on the ground are illustrated with the red, and you can see, exactly where the existing structure is, and where we're adding on, and the parts that are going to be actually on the ground.
I think it's important to note that we've tried to keep a lot of the foundations in already disturbed areas.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of the foundations and the structures that are on the ground, we're trying to keep on the existing impervious surfaces, the existing driveway. We're trying to keep the carport and the driveway generally, where we already have disturbance. The same with the garage. We're trying to put the garage on the existing, over the existing driveway. The buffer is generally, so again, the red foundations, this is the buffer here. There's the buffer line there, so Lindsay can go over sort of how we're planning how she's planning where the access points and why we arrived at the points that we're at. But so that's what this drawing is showing here. And then this is sort of a bigger site plan showing, the septic and all that. So do you want to kind of go over the?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want the bigger ones or?
Yeah, this is fine at first. I'm going to show you guys a 3D first because I think you'll understand it pretty quickly, and then we can go through the plans. So really broadly on here, as you saw in Jason's plans,
Lindsay, keep it quiet.
I'm just going to hold this actually, so that'll be easier. So as Jason's plans were showing, all of the existing houses located here in the middle. And there's just a couple of spots that we're modifying the existing house to, just expanding out on top of a deck so that we're not actually increasing the footprint of it too much. And expanding out on another deck that's over near an existing bedroom that's there. But broadly speaking, there's two large additions, one that's over here running off kind of along the brook, and then one that's over here on the garage. And we located them in these two areas, as he was mentioning, specifically because we already have, you can kind of tell in this red shaded area here, we already have a carport, or not a carport, but a parking area that has a retaining wall that's disturbed the ground there. So we're actually wanting to replace that existing foundation with a new foundation in its place. The extent of this bar, and I'll show you in the 3Ds, actually hovers up above that. So the foundation for it just touches down more lightly, and then the bar spans up and across the grade so that this natural grade actually flows below. So a lot of the stormwater can kind of just keep going down the way that it has been. The other addition is trying to go away from the house, and there's another existing parking area that pulls off of here. This addition is primarily a garage space. There's also a gym with a little bathroom associated with it. And I should have mentioned this addition is 2 new bedroom spaces and a study that are in this addition too. And then there's a small carport that's below. So I'm gonna, before I walk you through the plans, I'll show you guys this. Maybe I'll just walk it past all of you for a second. I'll try to not talk so you're not missing anything. This is all, this is not new material, so this is, but just to give you a little bit of a sense, this is the existing structure that's back here. There's one addition where those bedrooms are. It's basically a bar that's hovering.
I'll take it. You can keep that. You have this.
You can be the mic holder.
I'm literally the mic holder.
We have a bar that has those bedrooms contained. The windows are looking out in the other direction, and it balances on our foundation walls that are sitting where that existing parking area is. And then there's a study down in this area. And then the other addition that has the garage and the gym. Sorry, can you put it? The other addition that has the garage and the guest or the gym zone is over here, kind of where the existing driveway is turning down. So those two additions are trying to be a little bit of a lower and connect lightly to the existing structure because we don't want to do too much to this since it's a neat house in and of itself. But the idea is that we're trying to use stone that, if not actually from the site, is at least stone that is similar to the site. And we've talked about using dark siding so that really this is blending more into the landscape and into the trees, so it's not standing out, not anything that's light and bright. Yeah, you can see it on that elevation too. Would it be helpful to go through the floor plans more specifically? Okay, perfect.
It's necessary.
Okay.
Any questions or comments from the board?
So just to be clear, both additions are within the buffer?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I guess an overview is, are you familiar with Frank Dushin's work?
Just a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's very localized. One might call him the other Frank, isn't Frank Lloyd right? But it's really, I'm not sure he built much outside of Garrison, a couple here or there.
About 40 houses in the Garrison area, yeah.
And I guess you would call him post mid-century. And this is probably one of his biggest opuses, if not the biggest. You would not be able to build it today because I guess part of his genius was how do you use moderate means to make something look really, the word's not elaborate, but the house looks like it's cantilevered over the stream, but it's not.
Right.
You know, he was a genius of pretty much using very little and going very far.
And that's part of why we want to retain the original structure as much as possible, and just build something that echoes it to the sides so that we're not disturbing too much. It was renovated in 2008, but mostly on the inside, so the outside is still pretty much the same. And the challenge we do have is the house itself is entirely in the wetland buffer already because it's sort of not, as you said, not cantilevered over the stream, but looks that way. Correct.
So the referral from the planning board is in terms of, do we think, that the design as it exists, or how should it be modified, that we could provide a permit to do this, as well as our focus on steep slopes would be focused on how they would affect the wetlands by changing them in that order. This one, I think everybody needs to do a site visit to begin with. I do think, I have a feeling, I read the minutes from the last planning board meeting, and I believe they had a site visit this past weekend,
Yeah.
which
The
I
site's fully
think,
staked and they saw it.
It's all
Yeah.
staked, yeah.
right, I think they're going to have other comments, but I think that what both the planning board and the conservation board are probably going to end up asking for is what alternatives are there to push it, particularly in our case, further away from the stream. I'm not sure, again, we'd have to look at it if there's mitigation that could be done in terms of that as well. So I think at this point, unless anybody has any other comments, I think it's really setting up a site visit.
The windows, I wanted to ask about the glass. It's a bird-friendly glass, because you need a vacuum every day to clean up all the bird collisions, based on what I saw.
We've used bird-friendly glass on a lot of our projects, actually.
And that's actually our preference is to use, right now we use, not holograms, but reflective stickers on the inside of the windows to,
So we've minimized it quite a lot,
Yeah.
actually, but it is one of our challenges that there's a lot of large windows, and they're also single pane, which are leaky and environmentally not great.
Yeah.
So
They're interspaced with spaces, which it's just
Yeah.
Right.
it's a recipe for collisions.
yeah. So the existing house already has that challenge, which is why we use a lot of these stickers to prevent bird collisions already.
What's the origin of the waterway?
It comes from the,
Is there a reservoir or a
North.
pond or a street, a spring or?
I think it's just a wetland
Yeah.
that originates like around, you have South Mountain Pass, or South Mountain Pass spur
Spur,
that
right.
comes down,
Yeah.
and there's like a
Yeah.
big wetland there. There's like so I think that's generally where it originates. It doesn't originate from a pond or a reservoir or anything. It's just a spring-fed wetland area, I believe.
But it does run most of the year, except when there's a severe
Depends on
drought.
conditions. There are times that it's been pretty close to dry over the last 3 years we've been there, 4 years we've been there. And then there are times when snow melt and spring rains will make it
During
bigger,
the
but-
crazy rains, it's quite,
Yeah, but
Quite-
there are times it's not.
yeah.
You know.
Sometimes it's the side of the road.
Yeah, you get some of them too.
Other questions or comments at this preliminary stage?
We gotta do a site visit and then we'll have
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
a few more items to pick up.
And prior to the site visit, Max, do you want to look at the staking of the wetlands to make sure it's adequate?
Yeah,
So we're not,
sure. Yeah, but I think we should still schedule it, and I'll try to accommodate doing that beforehand. But even if I don't get to it beforehand, I think it'll still be worthwhile for you to get out there, especially if Steve's flags aren't out there still.
I think everything, we haven't moved anything, so
Everything's-
every tag they
everything's-
have is
yeah.
still out there. honestly.
July 20th, or I'm sorry, July 14th, it was done of last year, so, but most of them, he puts them on there pretty good.
Yeah, well, it'll be a good comparison then, because he did it in a dry part of the summer, so it'll be good to go out this time of year too.
A Saturday?
we could do I'm only good on Saturdays in the afternoons for the next few weeks. If that works.
Suits me.
Otherwise,
I'm good with Saturdays too, except not next Saturday.
so would that work for everybody, do an afternoon? Like,
This Saturday, right?
not this Saturday. Scott said you can't do it this Saturday.
The 25th.
I can't make that one, but you guys can.
Well, we should email the rest of the board too, right?
Yeah, I think that's because we're missing 2 people. So why don't we do that, and we'll come up with a
And we
Saturday.
don't have to all do it, I can do it.
Right. At worst. Though this, it would be ideal to be there with the engineer on this one. Because I have a feeling it's probably going to be motivated from the planning board. I think they're going to ask for alternates of how the different buildings could be shifted and still preserve the integrity of what you want to do. So Cheryl, will you reach out with a couple dates? How are you, Jason?
Yeah, I'm pretty much free.
Okay.
Saturday afternoons, yeah.
So, I don't know if the architectural firm wants to be there. It might not be necessary at this point. That's up to you. Because our focus,
We'll let you guys coordinate then a time.
yeah, because our focus is more going to be on the siting of the buildings and what have you. Later on, we might be asking about runoff and rainwater management and so on.
Makes sense.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. So, we have anything in the way of old business? No, I think this is,
Car's still gonna be warm.
yeah, this might actually be a record.
It is Valentine's Day. We were sure if you guys already
All right, that's, okay, if that's the case, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Second? Okay,
You first did, I said.
okay. All in favor? Aye.